Well, what you see behind me is really a measure of the destructive power of all this terrible weather. Heavy winds and high rainfall has coupled together to really make it a very dangerous place, particularly in the southwest of England. We are hearing that the weather has got slightly better, but more bad weather is coming in the next day or so. The track ran like a river as the severe weather overwhelmed the transport system, bringing many parts of the southwest to a standstill. It also brought tragedy. High winds felled a tree in Exeter, killing a 21-year-old woman who was sleeping rough in a tent. 2 others were also injured.
Obviously we've had lots of heavy weather. It's been raining an awful lot, and the tree obviously for whatever reason came down. We don't know the reasons why. It's come down, taken a wall with it when it's come down, and then on top of that the tent's been underneath and the tree and everything has fallen onto the tent. So there's 2 males involved with minor injuries, and obviously a poor lady who, 21, who received fatal injuries at the time.
Through the night, the exceptional downpour took its toll across a wide area. Flash flooding hit the Cornwall fishing port of Newlyn. There was little even the professionals could do to limit its damage.
There's cars being pulled through that have been left there for the last 3 or 4 hours. They're trying to be pulled through now because they're completely understacked with water. There's people being piggybacked across by the Coast Guard to get across the bridge. It's a big road that comes down and the whole thing is just a river now. There's no sign of the road anymore.
The storm moved east and gathered strength. Hundreds of homes were evacuated. In the village of Millbrook, locals battled to shore up their properties. Roads in Bobby Tracy in Devon became no-go areas. Exeter remains at risk, its swollen river dangerously high. This pub is closed for business.
We were totally flooded in the middle of the week and we managed to dry out and sort it totally and open again. But this one overnight has been worse. We had staff on duty all night watching and the water is just pouring in. One man, a professional sportsman, decided that the raging waters of the River Exe provided a good opportunity for some kayaking practice. Sam Anderson insisted that he wasn't acting irresponsibly.
If you get people really experienced that do that don't know what they're doing, and obviously it can be dangerous. I'm actually in the British team myself, and I do this, every day almost. So it's just like doing what I usually do.
The rain has eased in the southwest, but tomorrow may bring more misery.
That's right, 3 o'clock.
Well, things have been getting bad too in Malmesbury in Wiltshire, where the emergency services have turned up in force. Over the last 2 or 3 days, the flooding has been building up there, and they actually had to rescue about 4 people from a house. It became completely surrounded by water. They have been removed safely. There are a number of warnings have gone out for that area as the levels there continue to rise. There's also widespread concern about people who are still intent on trying to drive through flooded areas. The emergency services, the police and fire service in particular tell us that time after time they've had to rescue people from stricken cars inside the floodwater. Don't try it, it's very dangerous indeed, and it takes up all those rescue workers who could be elsewhere doing things much more urgently. Although I said earlier the weather has picked up a little bit more mild, there is more bad weather coming in, and the Environment Agency say everyone must stay on flood alert.
And David, it seems to have been dry, or at least there's been no more rain where you are for the last few hours. What's happening to the water levels? Do they seem to be going down or still rising with water coming in from the surrounding hills?
Well, there's no doubt that the River Exe here behind me, completely raging torrent at the moment, is still continuing to rise. I think in some places it does manifest itself a bit later. A classic of that is when there's rain further north up in Wales in the mountains. It then takes maybe a day or so to filter down into the Severn. And you get those places that we hear a lot about flooding in places like Shrewsbury, Worcester down to Upton-on-Severn and Tewkesbury, of course. So all those places could be under threat in the next day or so.